have your Bibles, if you turn with me to Matthew chapter number 26. We stand when we read the word in this house, so if you would, and if you are able, I ask you stand. Matthew 26, we're going to read verses 36 through 41. Lately, for myself, and I know if I'm speaking for myself as co-head of this house, I'm going to be speaking on behalf of you, co-head. Standing behind that head right there, following that one. But I know that co-pastor, whatever you want to call it, what I'm feeling and what we're going to talk about tonight is laying at your doorstep, and you're feeling the same thing. You'll excuse me, I've been battling a head cold for several days, so whatever comes out, just ignore. If you want, I can stick Kleenexes up there and we can roll with it. How many in here you can say, and this has been me here lately, I am feeling like I am in a tight place. I'm in the right place, but I'm in a tight place. I want to stay saved. I love God. I ain't trying to backslide. I ain't trying to go backwards. But I'm in a tight place. Yesterday I came here and I told Pastor, I guess it was last week, I said, the week before actually, I said, I'm going to preach Wednesday. And he said, well, we ain't going to be here. And I said, well, I'm going to preach the next Wednesday. And I said, and then I'll preach the next Wednesday. And I said, I just feel like something's, churning in me. He looked at me and he said, well, good. So I came here yesterday and was spending some time alone, and even sitting back in my office. Thank you. I haven't been able to say that much. But sitting back in my office, I was just, anybody else irritated? Yes, ma'am. Unsatisfied? Yes. I'm sitting back there and I'm just flipping through the Bible. And then he comes and visits, and he said, do you want to go to this place with me? I said, no. And he said, okay, well, I'll be back, And I'm just sitting back there, and I come out here and I walk around, and then I go back in the back, and I'm going, God, I'm irritated. I'm in this tight. Anybody ever been constrained before? It is irritating. I can't stand. Don't hold me down. Don't constrain me. Think about it. Has anybody in here ever been held down and you lose your mind? That's how I'm feeling. Okay. So I know I'm not alone in here. So I look. And if you don't know me well, you should know that I like to clean. And usually when I clean, it's my outlet. I mean, I can just clean and just talk and just clean. So I go down the hallway, and there's stuff in the hallway. And I said, well, I'm just going to vacuum. And so I pulled a vacuum out, and I vacuumed the hallway. And I came down here, and I vacuumed. And I got the entire front here vacuumed. And I'm angry. I'm vacuuming mad. Okay? Irritated. And I come up on stage, and you have to get an extension cord because this building was built back in the dinosaur ages, and there's only two outlets here and here. So if you ever vacuum, you have to have an extension cord to reach it to the back. Okay? So I'm on stage, and I'm vacuuming, and all of a sudden the vacuum goes, and quits. I'm like, what in God? I know I haven't blown a fuse. Okay? So I'm like, what in the world? So, I flip the thing up. I come over here, and I unplug the extension cord, and I plug it up into the stage, and it still ain't turning on. And I go, okay, well, maybe the vacuum cleaner's broke again. We tend to break those around here. So I go back, and I get the other vacuum cleaner, and I come out here, and I plug it up, and it works for a few seconds, then it dies on me. And I'm going, God, I'm serving in here, but I'm tight. Hold on. So I take the vacuum and I unplug it from the extension cord again. The second vacuum, the one I wrapped up and I set in the hallway, and I come out and I plug it back and I take the extension cord out of the plug. I try this plug, it's not working. I try that plug, it's not working. And I said, well, I got my phone charger. I want to see if I've blown a fuse. I went back and checked the fuse box. I do know a little bit. And I'm going, nothing's blown. So I go back and get my phone charger. I come out here and I plug it up and my phone is working. I plug it up over there and it's charging. And I'm going, God. And you see, he's working. And he was speaking. And so I go back and I get the vacuum that I absolutely hate. The green one. Was that yours? The one that it's the bag one, and when you turn it on, there's a poof of dead skin cells and everything else. And I didn't want to use, so I come out here and I plug it in and it works. And I said, God, I ain't using this one. The other two was working fine. And all of a sudden, the Spirit of the Lord hit me, and I just broke right here. And he spoke. He said, your problem is you're wanting to use what you want. And not realizing that what's happening is what you need. And I'm just bawling like a baby. And I said, God, I just want to vacuum the church. That's all I want to do. You know, and I'm aggravated. And little did I know, he's on the phone with Pastor Floyd Lahan. And he calls me about 45 minutes later. And this is all I got. The vacuum was up here in the stage. So I put everything up. And I go back in the office, and he called and said, you want to go to lunch? I said, yeah. And you can ask him. I ate a few pieces of lettuce and a little bit of a pizza. And I sat there staring at him. And he was telling me some things that Pastor Lahan was saying. And everything that he was saying, God had been speaking to me here at the church. And I just got tears, and I couldn't even eat. But I'm at the place, church. So y'all think I'm crazy because I put white paint on my face and black lipstick? Pastor thinks I'm crazy. When I told him I was going to start miming, he said, are you serious? But I'm at the point. I'll do anything it takes to get his attention. If it means getting up here and acting like I can't talk, and looking like a flat out fool, if it's going to get his presence in this church and take us to the next level and take us to the nations and take us to this state. I'm in a tight place. And I know I'm not the only one. And I'm not talking about a tight place financially, Brian. I ain't talking about that. I ain't talking about that. I had a conversation just the other day with someone, and I was telling him, I said, a job's a job. I mean, when I was 14 and pregnant, the day after I turned, y'all have a seat. We're just going to be a while. Just have a seat. I was pregnant at 15. My birthday was on a Saturday. That following Monday, my mother had me at an interview at McDonald's and said, she's going to work. And I remember sitting there, she said, and you make her work hard. And that boss did, because I was scrubbing the floorboards around the pregnant. But I'm not talking about a financial tightness. I ain't talking about that. Come on now. Either believe he's going to provide or don't believe it, but don't get caught up in that. And we can't stop there, okay? You can say, I believe, but there is a part where you have to do something too. And that's what I was explaining to this young lady. I said, a job's a job. I said, the thing that we get mixed up right now in this in our day and age is, well, we don't want that job. Money is money, and here's what people miss out is the fact that here's where you got to realize that people really don't believe God, because you will take whatever job you can get if you realize that God is the one that promotes. Okay. God is the one that promotes. So go flip your burgers or go work wherever you need to work, because God will be the one that, as you're doing it unto the Lord. See, we get this all mixed up, and I don't even know why I'm on this, but let me just hang here for a second, and we're going to keep going. A job's a job. Do it unto the Lord will promote. I have been an absolute personal witness of that, all right? So let me just throw that out there for those of you that say, well, I can't get a job, and I applied here and I applied there. Take what you can get, honor the Lord in it, and watch him promote you, okay? Let's leave it. I ain't talking about financial tightness tonight. So some of you, you know, when I said that, you thought, yeah, I'm tight. I'm running on fumes. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking to those that feel my heart tonight. Are you at Matthew chapter 26? Verse 36. Are you there ready? That was there and ready at the same time. Here we go. Then Jesus came with them to a place called Gethsemane. Help me, Jesus. Say it for me, baby. Thank you. And said to his disciples, sit here while I go over there and pray. And he took with him Peter and the two sons of Zebedee and began to be grieved. And the word here actually means heavy. Is there anybody in here that feels that? Heavy. And distressed. And the word distressed there means extreme necessity. It's necessary you're feeling tight the way that you are right now. Verse 38, then he said to them, my soul is deeply grieved to the point of death. Remain here and keep watch with me. Never had Jesus ever said that, even when in the wilderness. But if you know the definition of this garden, and I'm not going to say the word again because I'm having problems with my tongue tonight. But the definition for that is the place of the pressing. Place of pressing. And never had Jesus, even in the wilderness and even in casting out demons and even in, you know, the storm on the sea. And he was not ruffled with, you know, about, you know, the disciples saying, you know, we're going to perish. And nothing really fazed them. But here he was very tight. He was very heavy. He was very distressed. Verse 39, he said, and he went a little beyond them and fell on his face and prayed, saying, my Father, if it is possible, let this cup pass from me. Yet not as I will, but as thou wilt. And he came to the disciples and found them sleeping. And I can imagine him kicking Peter, poor Peter. Always getting it. So, you men could not keep watch with me for 1 hour. And here's where I want to really, really rest on tonight. Keep watching. And keep praying. That you may not enter into temptation. The spirit is willing. How many are there right now? God, I feel something stirring in me. And I know that your promise is true. And I know you can't lie. But God, I'm tired. God, I'm uncertain. God, I believe you can. I believe you will. But God will. And the spirit is willing, and willing means your spirit's in the right disposition. You're in the right place. Like I said, you don't want to backslide, and you love God, and you want to serve, and you want to keep doing this. But if I can just be honest, God, I'm weak. It says, but the flesh, and the flesh actually means human nature, okay, is weak. It's liable to break at any moment. But this isn't the only place that Jesus was in a tight place. Okay? In the wilderness, he fought the enemy. He could see the enemy. In the wilderness, you know he had to have been weak in his flesh. Remember, he had just 40 days and 40 nights. Okay. And here's where we become tight, because the spirit is willing and the flesh is weak. You know he was weak in the wilderness. And his spirit willed his way against every temptation. And if we go back to verse 41, he says, keep watching, keep praying that you may not enter into temptation. So you know that this is not the only time that he's ever encountered a tight place. But there was a vast difference between the wilderness experience with him, where he was prayed up, fasted up, and I guarantee he was weak. I mean, why else would the enemy lay before him, will turn these stones to bread? I mean, he was hungry. He had been, fasting for 40 days and stuff. You know he was weak, but he conquered it. So here's our next tight place, and this is in the garden. And this was different because he had people around him, but yet he was alone. In the wilderness, it was just him and the enemy, but he was ready to kick tail. Now he's found himself in a place where he has got the three that he thought would hang with him, his friends, and yet he's alone. He's in a tight place. And he's distressed. In the wilderness, he wasn't distressed. Yes, weak, probably very hungry. But his spirit was so strong, he was able to fight off the temptations of the enemy. Okay, so there's a big difference. Here, he was heavy. He was in a tight place. He was in the place of pressing. He was where we are right now. In this walk, you're going to encounter different levels, especially if you're really, you're trying with everything that you got to please God and to live right. You're going to encounter different levels, okay, different intensities and different battles. And what you're facing right now in this tight feeling is a necessity for you. Are you with me? See, Christ in the garden, he knew the promise and he knew the outcome, but he still had to endure that pressing. He still had to endure that tightness. Okay? Hang with me. He goes back, if you would read the rest of it, he goes back and checks on the disciples, his friends, 3 times. And I asked myself, well, why didn't he just stay there? Why did he go back and revisit his disciples 3 times? And I tend to believe that the reason why he went back to check and make sure they was all right was because he had to remind himself why he was in the garden for the first place. And it was for them, if you think about it. Because it was right before he was going to be arrested and then tortured and then crucified. And as I was thinking about this, the Lord said, you need to tell them to go back and revisit why they're in the place that they are right now. What was spoken? The promise that I told them. The dream that I gave them. And I felt him say, I went back and I had to look at the ones, even though they were sleeping on me and they didn't, you ever ask somebody to pray for you and or if you ever told somebody, I'm in agreement with you, and then you say, Lord bless them, then you just, because you don't want to forget to pray for them, So I can imagine what Christ was feeling, but he had to go back and revisit the souls in which he was in there agonizing over. The promise that he had over those 3 that was sleeping on him. You need to revisit those dreams. You need to revisit that promise. See, in the tight place, some of you may feel like you're suffocating. Like the very walls of your house are closing in on you. You're antsy. And that's how I felt yesterday. I was antsy. Anxious. You sleep. But if your bed could talk, it would tell just how much you wrestled with it. You're in a tight place. You can even feel the pressure on your chest. Your soul is stirred up. And some of you still have hope. I mean, you still have hope. Somehow, God, I don't even know how I got hope in this. Somehow some of you have lost hope. It's been displaced because of this tight place. And you know what the crazy thing is no one else can feel that pressure. When a woman is having a baby, I want to smack a man that says, we're having a baby. You ain't doing nothing but getting on my nerves and trying to paint my toenails. Let me tell you, it was the sweetest thing ever. Sweetest thing ever. I'm dying on my deathbed with Israel. And I know that's funny because we say that because of the pain. No, I was kidney failure. I was dying. Okay. I had preeclampsia. I was very sick, on the verge of seizures. And he was giving me this medicine. And it was our 1-year anniversary. Happy anniversary. And I'm puking, all over him, and he's holding a bucket, and I'm like, I'm sorry. And he's like, it's okay, and he's, and I'm going, and it was awful. Wasn't the best anniversary. But anyway, my baby goes home, and I'm like, I didn't even paint my toenails. Gets my red toenail polish and comes to the hospital and paints my toenails. And I kid you not, those nurses came in the next day when he was here and I was still out of my mind. They said, baby, what happened? What happened to your feet? And I said, what you mean? And you don't understand, I was huge, folks. The picture of me, the Easter before I had him, you couldn't see my eyeballs. I was so swollen. I was so sick. And I said, what you mean, what happened to my feet? And they uncovered, and I had toenail polish on my knee. I had it on my shins. But give him a hand that he came and painted his way. But when a woman is having a baby, let's get back to the original point here. Thank you, baby. I don't know if I've ever said thank you, but thank you for that. I don't know how you missed them. They were that wide at that. I was huge. Believe it or not. Anyways, when a woman's having a baby, in the very beginning, you'll have the nurses and the husband in there saying, here comes one, right? Here comes a contraction. So you go, okay, and you do whatever you do, and then it goes back, okay. But by the end, you ain't got to tell me no more that there's a contraction coming. And you see, that's what's happening right now in the spirit realm for a lot of us. You can't feel the pressure that I'm feeling. I'm singing and I'm in a tight place. I'm preaching and I'm in a tight place. You're leading and you're in a tight place. You're the boss and you're in a tight place. God, I'm serving. I'm faithful and I'm in a tight place, God. And no one else around me. No matter how much they come to me and say, baby, I'm praying for you. And I'm so sorry this is happening. And I understand. Get away from me. I'm in a tight place. And no one knows it. I'm smiling and I'm in a tight. How you doing, brother? I'm well. I'm all right. I'm in a tight place. I'm praying for you and I'm in a tight place. And here was our Savior. Because remember, he was wrapped up in that flesh. And his spirit was saying, I'm willing. Oh, God, I'm tired. Let it pass from me, God. And a lot of you in here are saying to God in your heart, let it pass from me, God. I'm tired, God. God, I'm tired, God. Let it pass from me, God. If you just take it away from me, God, just leave me alone, God. Don't bother with me with it anymore, God. I'm tired. I feel like I can't breathe. I feel like I can't work, God. I'm singing, God, and I'm praying, God, and I'm fasting, God, and I'm seeking after you. But, God, I'm tight. And I believe you, God. But I wonder, And I know that you'll give me the strength, God, but when? And I know you have all the answers, God, but still, why? I'm in a tight place, God. I'm being a wife and I'm in a tight place. I'm being a husband and I'm in a tight place. Playing an instrument from a tight place. And no one knows where you are but you, and no one knows that pressure but you. That you've been wrestling. You know you're going to make it, but you're a little uncertain. You know God is faithful, but you're still wondering. You know fasting is the key to intimacy and to breakthrough, but yet something keeps clouding your vision to get it done. You hear your soul panting for more, but your flesh is saying, oh, go on and stay in your slumber. It's all right. Don't worry about it. Verse 41, Jesus says, keep watching and keep praying. Keep watching and keep praying. Keep watching and keep praying. Keep watching. Look unto the hill and keep praying. In all things pray. Keep watching. Look for your redemption draweth nigh. But keep praying. Stand and having done all stand. Keep watching. Be vigilant. Be alert. But keep praying. Ask and it shall be answered. Knock and it shall be opened. Seek and you shall find. Keep watching. Keep praying. Keep watching. But God, I've prayed. I don't know what to pray. Well, my Bible says that the Spirit will give you the groanings and He will interpret that prayer for you. You gotta keep watching and you gotta keep praying. This is what Christ did in order to get through that garden. In order to get through that pressing. I can imagine that Christ's prayer in that garden was not much of words as it was the Holy Ghost. Moaning. Oh, God, let it pass, God. And I can see him going back to the disciples and watching and saying, I'm doing it for you. Wake up. And then he's going back and he's praying. He's saying, oh, God, I'm in a tight place, God. And then he goes back and he's looking and God, you said you do it. And then I'm in this tight place and oh, God. And God's saying, keep watching. Keep praying. If you think this is bad, you better wait because you're going to get tighter right before your biggest breakthrough. Don't let circumstances and don't let this constraining that you're feeling keep you and make you so weak that you give up. You keep watching and you keep praying. Keep watching. Too much is at stake. Be alert. Turn your TV off. Get in this word. Get back into your secret place. Now is not the time for you to sit down and stop the race. Keep watching. Keep praying. Don't you dare give up now. Don't you do it. If you're in here and you say, that's me, I'm in a tight place, come up to the altar.